go to the first, my right side, from this side, we will ask the question, and from the left, you will answer. If you do not know how to answer, just smile. Pinaka, pianist, just fire the tune, we sing. ID% Felix Wedau. Our next song is This World Is Not My Home. I'm just passing through. My dresses I lay down, some way beyond the blue. And we will say that some way beyond the blue, it's not anywhere, it's in heaven. So when you say somewhere beyond the blue, I want you to think of heaven, not your home. This world is not my home.
Not my
serve thee because I love thee. This will be our prayer song as we winding up our praise and worship for this morning. Let's repeat the chorus. Thank you for those who just joined in during our praise and worship. We kindly invite everyone if we can be upstanding for our theme song. Menaka.
Adore him, for he is worthy. He left the glory of heaven to rescue humanity. Let us praise Him. Holy, holy, holy. For risking it all for you and me at the cross of Calvary. I will give it all for Jesus. He has given it all for me. I will be a witness, a living sacrifice. I will stay faithful and be committed, sharing His love and be His born disciple until He comes. Let us walk the talk from maintenance to mission, to rekindle the flame of reformation. May Spirit rain down to fulfill the Great Commission, for He is coming again, coming again. I will give it all for Jesus. He has given it all for me. I will be a witness, a living sacrifice. I will stay faithful and be committed, sharing His love and be His born disciple until He comes, until He comes, until He comes.
Thank you. You may be seated.
Now is the time for seasons of prayer, and we all believe in the power of prayer. And we would like you to just turn to the person next to you and just pray for the outpouring of the Holy Spirit in our meeting and also our program, harvesting program in July. So just give you a few minutes and just turn to the person next to you and let us pray.
Good morning, everyone. Have you had a good sleep last night? No? Nobody answers, so it's no. I'm sorry for those of you who are still praying. Well, Kiribati is a country that many of you would have heard, but you have never been to that place. I know. I hope some of you visit the little isles, you know, these what we call low-lying atolls. Okay? There are 33 of them in the country, and I learned that there are 27 is inhabited by people, but the others are islands where you can go and say picnic or whatever you do with the islands. Kiribati, although is just one of the small countries of the Pacific, Kiribati has the very biggest geography compared to any other countries of the Pacific. Okay? Well, from Banaba, which is called the Ocean Island in the west, right to Christmas Island, which is they call the Line Island groups, that according to the history, it says it covers an area of more than 3,500,000 square kilometers. And this is a little bit more than 4,500 kilometers from Banaba to Christmas Island. And can you see that it covers the vast area of the Pacific, okay? That's the Kiribati Island. Now, the mission is not really big in Kiribati. We are the smallest mission in this union with a membership of about more than 2,600 members, okay? And with this, although we are smallest, we have the largest geography, as I've stated already, okay? And in Kiribati, present here are 10 of our laypersons, 10 of them. One is a lady, and the other 9 are men. And the only lady that is present with us here comes all the way from Christmas Island, which is the furthest. And so I would like to invite her to come to front and tell us a little bit of her experience so that you can hear what she's doing there in the Christmas Island. Probably she will tell us her name and also the membership of the Island of Christmas. I've been to Christmas Island and I know they have names, names like London, and also Poland. These are European countries. And I think because these people have been to that place. So please, lady, come. She's going to tell you her name, and she's going to share with you one experience that she has with the work that she's doing up at Christmas Island. Thank you.
Good morning, my brothers and sisters. My name is Totake. The Kiribati name Totake. I come from Christmas Island, and this morning I will share a short story about the power of God that I have experienced and still experiencing. I was 13 years old when I attended school at Kome Adventist High School. This school is established at Abemame, one of the islands of Kiribati. During my stay at school, I have plenty of friends, and I get along with my friends very, very well. And after that, a few years later, I was able to find my job. This time it was a bad time for me because I involved in bad movement, different environment, because I'm an Adventist. I brought up in the Adventist. My father, my mother, and their parents are from the SDA. And when I got a job, I forgot about God. I just enjoy and I like living like this, doing bad things. And one day, the strange things happened. I dreamt about the second coming of Christ. It didn't bother me. It was just a dream. A few days later, I struck with a very serious sickness. And I don't have to eat and drink within 3 days. I almost died. And so I prayed to God to help me. I thank God I was able to recover. A few days after recovery, I dreamed the same dream that was already come to me, the second coming of Christ. And this dream brought me back to my sense to reading the Bible, Bible studies, and praying. I keep on reading the Bible, studying the Bible, chapters by chapters. I started reading from the New Testament, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And I attend church regularly. I felt the love of God and a new life in me every time I read the Bible. I made up my mind to continue following this path. I faced problems when I share the Word of God with my husband, because my husband is in the different belief, what we call it the Methodist, but in Kiribati Protestant Church. I gave him texts from the Bible that we have shared in the church, but it took a long time for him to accept Jesus. One Sabbath morning, I was very surprised when my husband told me that he wants to go to church with me. I'm very happy. This time I was very happy because I didn't force him, but I knew it was the power of God through Bible readings and praying. So we both agreed to get married, then baptized. And from there, we decided to work for God. And now back at my place, I worked as a layperson on its Fanning Island. I do Bible studies from home to home. Amen. Okay, I would like to welcome the Kiribati men to come up and give a song.
Amen.
Everyone, welcome everyone. Okay, this song is about God sent His Son, but we sing it in our own mother tongue. Thank you very much. Everyone. On behalf of the Kiribati team, I would like to welcome you all this morning. I'm not forgetting our guest speaker this morning. It is my honor and privilege to welcome you, Dr. Richard Duerksen, to this wonderful morning. I hope and trust the message that has been prepared for us is a blessing to each one of us. Thank you all. You all welcome. Ambassador.
Bom dia. Bom dia. Good morning. Y buenos días con todos. I see I go back to Spanish all the time. I'm sorry. We have a lady A few months ago, we discovered that the lady who cleans the office for the Oregon Conference of Seventh-day Adventists, where I work, did not have a home. She had just been divorced and was thrown out. She was living in a safe house. Now she lives in our safe house. And it's so nice because she speaks Portuguese and Spanish and English a little, and she loves our dog. And we have a very big white dog. I'll show you pictures. And so we left our big white dog, Sheba, the Queen of Sheba. We left her with Katia, the Queen of Brazil. And we pray all goes well at home. I am very touched by the message you shared this morning from Christmas Island in Kiribati. Very much. And it makes me want to say something completely different this morning. One day, I was attending a baptism in the town of Livingstone, Zambia in Africa. Share Him from the world had come. They had held 26 evangelistic meetings in Zambia, Zimbabwe, and Botswana, all who come together right there in Africa. There were 912 people being baptized on Sabbath, and we had to find a place that had good water. There's a high school in Livingston that has a swimming pool, but the swimming pool is concrete and has many cracks. You put water in, water goes out. So we got some concrete repaired the bottom of the swimming pool, put in water. It still went out. We put in more concrete repair. Finally, the water would come up halfway in the pool as long as we kept putting water in. It was terrible. Sabbath afternoon, we had prayed, God, keep the water in the pool till the last person is baptized, please. God would never turn that prayer down. Never. Well, what happened then is I'm a cameraman, I'm a photographer, so my job is to take pictures of the baptism. So I've got a big camera and I'm taking pictures, and I noticed something odd. There was one man sitting way over where the people all came into the pool, and he had a little camera, not on a phone, he didn't have a phone, just had a funny camera that he was taking pictures. All right, you stand there, and he would take a picture of almost everybody. And so I walked over, talked, and stood next to him. He was a big black African man. And I said, why do you take pictures of so many people? And he looked at me and he said, hi, my name is Chief Strawberry. And I said, well, my name is Dick Duerksen, and I'm a pastor. And he said, I know you. I watch you. I watch to see if you're a good Adventist. My mind went back. What had I done? Well, I took 2 desserts at the meal last night. Is that okay? They were delicious dessert. Good sweets. I took 2. Is that okay? He laughed. And I said, why so many pictures? These are the people I studied with. How many of the 900, I asked. And he said, oh, not many, only 60 or so. 60 people being baptized because one man studied with them. Well, I took his picture. I took his picture with people. I took his picture lots. And then I took him back behind the building and I said, I want to know about you, Chief Strawberry. And he said, I'll tell you my story. He said, I went to high school in Livingston. I'm from Zambia. And in Livingston, I was able, my parents were very good. They had a little bit of money. I went to primary school, then I went to high school. And when I graduated from high school, I took a job with a copper mining company in the far northwestern corner of Zambia. I said, "What was your job?" He said, "I shoveled dirt for 2 weeks. Shovel, throw, shovel, throw." He said, and then my manager came by and said, "I want you deep in the mine." And so then I put on the hat and the glass and the light, and I went deep in the mine, and I started picking against a wall, chopping out the copper. And then he said, "You've done pretty well. I want you to take charge of this group of men." For 5 years, I worked in the mine until I was in charge of one whole section of the mine. Several hundred workers answered to me. Chief Strawberry. I laughed. What then? I got bored. I was tired of being in a mine and getting just copper all the time. What do you call it here? Copper? Does that work? Okay. And I have to, if I say something you don't understand, raise a hand and say it again in my language. And I'll say it in Spanish. What did you do? I went to my supervisor, my boss, and I said, "I need a vacation. I want to go home for a while. Please pay me my money." So he paid me my money. I took a truck back to my home in Livingston, and I bought a one-way airplane ticket to London, England. I said, "Why London? I didn't know any place else. Why one way? I did not want to come home. No more copper." So he went to London. And there he was not Chief Strawberry, he was Stain Musangilla. And he walked through London. He had a little bit of money, found a place to stay, got some food, and walked just to see. He went to where the Big Ben clock is, and he said, "I stood there and listened to it chime 12 times. Bong!" He said it was so much fun. And then one day in London, I saw a white house driving down the street. I said, "Excuse me? You saw a white house driving down the..." "Well, it looked like it." "What did you see?" "I don't know, I didn't know. But I was standing in the street, and all of a sudden a big white house with many windows went by." And I said, "I must see this." So he said, I ran to the end of the street, and I found myself at the river, and at the river, the house is a boat. A huge white boat. And they stopped, and they let down stairs. And so I ran over and started going up the stairs, and a man with a gun said, "No. Do you have a ticket?" I said, "Ticket for what? I did not do anything wrong." No. "Do you have, are you a passenger?" "No, I'm not." "Then why are you here? Are you looking for a job?" "Yes, I am looking for a job." "Then come." And he took Chief Strawberry up to the job office, and he said, "They gave me a job." What was the job? I was a culinary specialist. What did that mean? I washed dishes. I washed dishes to Paris. I washed dishes to the United States. I didn't get off the boat. I could not. I was a Zambian. They wouldn't let me off. I didn't have the right passport. But I got there, and I got there, and I got there. And after 4 months, they put me in charge of all the food on the boat. Not just in my restaurant, the restaurant for the people who sang a lot, the restaurant for the people who slept a lot, the restaurant for the admiral, everybody, I was in charge. 5 years on the boat. And I was Chief Strawberry, in charge of all food, wine, beer, and women. No, not women. No one's in charge of women. And I said, what happened then? I went to my boss, and I said, I need a vacation. And the boss said, you are on a Carnival Cruise Line vacation boat. You don't need a vacation. Your life is a vacation. And he said, I want to go home for a while. Okay. They paid him. He got off in London. One-way ticket home. I flew to Zambia, to Livingston, saw my family, and looked for a job. I went up the country. I went to a big hotel, and I said, I am a culinary specialist. And they gave me a job washing dishes. But I also had a recommendation from the man who was my boss for Carnival Cruise Lines. And they looked at that and said, you don't belong washing dishes. Come. And they put me in charge of the people washing dishes. Then they put me in charge of a banquet hall. And then, Pastor, they made me director of corporate relations for the second largest 5-star hotel group in the country of Zambia. I was responsible for anything that had anything to do with food. I was powerful. If someone guest from Christmas Island were to come and say, I want a bottle of Dom Perignon, the finest of this from way back in 1912. And I knew where there was one down in Johannesburg. We would say, it will be here for dinner tonight. And I would take one of the helicopters, which I had anytime I wanted, and I would fly down to South Africa to Johannesburg. I would buy the champagne, I would bring it back, and I would personally open it for them at dinner that night. If I needed to go anywhere, there were 3 limousines with drivers always waiting for me. Anything I needed, anywhere I wanted to go. I had all of the wine, song, and women I wanted, and beer, and whiskey, and anything else. I was rich. No one called me Chief Strawberry. It was Mr. Stain, because I was the boss of all food for all the hotels in this 5-star group. I got married to a lady who was wonderful. I used to say to her, oh, darling, you are so fat today. In Zambia, that means so beautiful. One day, this is Stain, okay, not me. One day I was in Livingston, and I needed to drive home. The man who usually drove me was sick, so I left him in Livingston. I took the limousine and I began to drive. I'd been drinking very much. And so I was very drunk, but just enough so I could still sort of drive. I was very glad that there were no policemen around. And I drove, and when I couldn't go any farther, I'm sorry. I was dangerous on the road for others and for me. I stopped at one of the hotels where I work. I went to the hotel. Of course, they always have a room for me. There may be no room for you, but there's a room for me. Next time you go to a hotel, ask for Chief Strawberry's room. They will give it to you. He said to get to my room, I had to go past a meeting hall. And in the meeting hall, there was the craziest music I've ever heard. Women singing loud. So I slipped in and sat down on the back seat. Many women, all dressed that they're beautiful, all singing big song. Power, power, power in the blood, in the blood, in the blood, there is power. I knew about blood. And I was angry. These people were Christians, I could tell. And all I knew about Christians is that they always wanted me to give them something. But they never gave anything to me. They would come to my office and say, "We are having a special party for all of the people, and we would like to have a whole bunch of cups and plates and some really good meat. Would you please give us that?" And I would say, "Get out! Christians only take. They never give. Don't like them, I hate them." And he said, I left that room and I went up and I slept my drunk off all night. And in the morning I went back downstairs, made sure that room was empty, and then I drove home angry. Why would Christians sing songs about food? Power, power, power in the blood, in the blood. I got home. My wife was there. "Hello, Stain, how are you? You're late." I slept all night last night down there in this hotel with the craziest group of women. I was tired, so I walked through my, not much of a house, but a little house. And there on a table, I saw a book I'd never seen. I said, "What is this?" Picked up a book. And my wife said, "Stain, I have been lonely. So I have been going to a church." "Church? I hope you're not Christian." "Oh, you need to listen more." "What?" "And last week at worship, they gave me a book." "A book?" He looked at the cover. It said, "Back to Eden Diet." He said, I opened it. It was a Christian book. More Christians talking about food. I'm the one who knows about food. Christians don't know anything about food. He said, I told my wife, "Gladys, you never go there again." And I went to bed. Well, the next day was Saturday. I got up. Just started to go out, and my wife, I said, "I need a big breakfast today." And she said, "Well, you'll have to make it yourself. I'm going to church." "Church? On Saturday? Why? Are you Jewish?" "No, I'm not Jewish. But I am going to this little group that meets on Saturday. I think you will like them. Come along." "Will they make food?" "Yes, there will be food." "I will come." It was the first time I went to a Seventh-day Adventist church, Stain told me. I liked it. The people were kind. They asked my name. They didn't smell my breath to see if I was drunk. They just treated me like Stain, just like a man. Actually, they treated me like Gladys's husband. Because of Gladys, I was special. I went again. And again, and again, for 6 years. And during that time, I spent 6 years in the pastor's baptismal class. How long do most people stay in a baptismal class? A month. 6 years. And I said, "Stain, why were you in that class for 6 years? Couldn't you graduate?" And Stain laughed and said, "No one asked me to be baptized." And then one Sabbath morning, I'm there in the class, and the pastor is teaching, and he stopped. And he said, "Chief Strawberry, would you like to be baptized?" And I said, "Yes." "Can we do it today?" And he said, "If Gladys says it's okay." And so that day, while Gladys stood there crying like a baby, Chief Strawberry was baptized to become the special son of Jesus. In 2 months, he lost his job. He lost any money he had. He lost his house. And he, Gladys, and their 2 children were alone, living in a home made of kinisu. Now, kinisu, I don't know what word you use for it here, but it's like sugar cane. except it doesn't have sugar in it. It's just a reed that you weave together to make a house. That's all they had. The table was gone, the beds were gone, the cars were gone, the helicopter was gone, the job was gone. He lost it all because he became a child of Jesus by water. 2 months later, hungry children crying all the time. He had a friend who gave him use of an old panel van. Make it a taxi, he said. So I cleaned it up and made it a taxi, but I couldn't get any fares. No one wanted to ride with me. And then one day, a family said, we want to go all the way down to Livingston. You take us now, yes? He said, so I did. I worked out, and then I drove that little, and it goes all the way 10 kilometers outside of Livingston. My transmission broke. Stop! Parked on side of road. The people got out, found another taxi, went all the way down, gave me no money. And all I had to do now was walk and figure out how to fix a transmission with no money. I got to Livingston. There's a man I helped get a job at a hotel in Livingston. So I went to the hotel and I went to his office, and when I walked in, his assistant, his secretary, looked at me and said, are you staying in Musangilia? Yes, I am. We don't want you here. Go away now. That is the same greeting I had received at every hotel that I had visited, at every place where I had gone. To the people who used to beg me for gifts, would no longer even let me talk. Go now. You don't belong to Jesus anymore. You don't belong to us. You belong to Jesus. We hate you. So I started to turn away, Stain told me. But the man, I had gotten him his job, heard my voice. He came out of his office and said, Stain, Chief Strawberry, is that you? He said, yeah. Come in! And he took me into his office and told the secretary, leave us alone. And we talked and we talked and we talked. And he said, well, how did you get here? On a taxi? Oh, well, why? But you look like you've been walking. Well, I am. You see, I was driving the taxi and the transmission broke. And he said, where is the car? He said, it's 10 kilometers out, right next to the, the big white, yeah. Okay, I know where that is, just a moment. He reaches for his telephone, dials a number, goes, okay, the mechanic, my mechanic, will be at your car. He will pick it up. Are the keys? It doesn't need keys. All you have to do is cross the wires. Okay. They will put a new transmission in it. They said it would take a week. That means you are here for a week. Have you had breakfast? No breakfast or dinner or breakfast, or it's been a day and a half. Well, we can take care of that. All right, the food will be up in just a moment or two, but now you have my room. And he said, and I got put up in the big room at the top of the hotel where the big boss sleeps. And I slept and was given food and everything I could use and eat and do. And the man came up and we talked for days. 8 days later, my car was finished and he took me down to the gate, put me in my car, was washed and beautiful and ran. I even had a motor now. I mean, a starter with a key. It was so cool. And I started driving away. Goodbye, thank you. Halfway home, it was dark. I needed to stop for petrol. So I pulled into a petrol station. Dark, jungle, Africa, Zambia. You always pull as close as you can to the pumps and you never get out of the light because there are creatures in the dark. And if you're used to the light, it's hard to see the dark creatures in the dark. And so you close your eyes real tight and you kind of slip into the dark if you need to. As I was getting ready to slip into the dark to use the toilet, that must be there somewhere, a man came walking out of the jungle. He walked right over to me, reached into his pocket, pulled out a little business card, handed it to me and said, "Call this number." Turned around and walked back into the jungle. I didn't need the toilet anymore. I was terrified. I looked at the number and I knew who it was immediately. It was a man I used to work for, a man I used to party with, a man who flew with me on helicopters, a man I never wanted to see again, because when he fired me, he told me, "If you ever come to my office again, it was not a good thing. Call this number." Put it in my pocket. I drove home, parked, went inside, and Gladys, my wife, said, "We are all hungry. Did you bring money?" No. I told them the story. They all cried. "Did you bring food?" And I said, "A little." And I shared the fruits and vegetables that I had gotten from the hotel. After 2 days, my wife said, "What are you going to do? Are you going to call the number?" "I cannot." "You must. If God went to the trouble to find you at that petrol station and send an angel into the jungle, write this number on a card so that you can read it, and brought it out and handed it to you and said, 'Call it,' you are going to refuse to do what God tells you to do?" And I said, "No, I will call." I borrowed a telephone and I called. The secretary said, "Musangilla, is that you?" "It is." "Is he going to shout at me?" "Yes! Get here now!" I ran and walked down to his office downtown. When I got there, I went upstairs. I did not want to do this. When I got to the secretary, she said, "In there!" He looked at me and said, "I have been looking for you for 3 months, and you have not come. Where have you been?" "Here." He handed me a card. "Go to Livingston and see this woman before she cuts off my head." And Stain left. I went back to his old beat-up little van, told his wife. He came in terrified. He doesn't know this woman's. The desk, he showed that card and said, "I would like to meet with her." "What is your name, sir?" "Stain Musangilla." "I'll call." She says, "Come." "No, I will take you up." And she takes him upstairs to the office at the very top of the David Livingston Hotel, looking down over the waterfall that everyone always called Monsieur Doña. And the lady stands up, shakes his hand, sits down and says, "Please take that chair. Mr. Musangilla, I have a big request of you." "What is that?" "I have a problem with my hotels in Zambia and South Africa. 5-star, #1 hotel in all those countries, the Sun Hotel chain. I need help." "Help, ma'am? Stain, I have a job for you." "What is the job?" "I want you to be director of corporate relations for Sun Hotels Zambia." "Well, ma'am, that's very kind of you, but I can't do that job." "Why is that?" "Because, ma'am, I'm a Seventh-day Adventist Christian and I can't work on Sabbath, and that's when many of your banquets are. I can't." "Stain, I have 2 good people already working in that area. They need a supervisor. They don't need someone to be there on Saturday. You just teach them how to do it right. They will take care of Saturday. I want you to have your Saturdays free because you are important to me, because you are a Seventh-day Adventist. That way I know you will always be honest and I can trust you." Well, ma'am, there's one other thing. I would be in charge of all of the food, and you need to know that as a Seventh-day Adventist, I don't drink liquor, I don't drink wine, I don't do any of that anymore. I don't get drunk. And Stain, that's why I want you. You will be the only sober person in the hotel. I need you that way. "17 years, Stain was in charge of all corporate relations for Sun Hotel Zambia. And then he quit 2 years ago. He went into his boss and he said, I can't do this anymore. Well, Chief Strawberry, why not? You're the most important, valuable person in all of our hotels. Chief Strawberry, we love you. You know why they call him Chief Strawberry? You know strawberries, the way they grow? They have little vines that go everywhere. You're Chief Strawberry because even though you may be right here, you know everything that is going on everywhere all the time. And besides, if you pick a strawberry by other than the green part and you put your hand on the red, what happens to the red? It starts to go bad, right? You squeeze it, it bruises. He said, Chief Strawberry, when you work with people, you always work by holding the green. You treat us so we are never bruised. You are Chief Strawberry. He said, I love you all, but I must go. I have a job I must do. What is that? The government of Holland has asked me to go to work in Zambia, in the little villages all over everywhere, and teach the people how to grow gardens that are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 square. Enough food for their whole family. And by using irrigation that drips at the plant rather than throwing the water everywhere, we can do that even in the desert here in Zambia. And so the country of Holland has asked me to do that in every village in Zambia. And I must go. And his boss, all the employees at the hotel came and gave him a huge party and promised him that if he ever needed anything, to come to them. And then he started working with the Bill Gates Foundation from the United States and the United Nations and the country of Belgium. Because there is a new discovery where you can paint the inside of walls in huts in Africa with a paint that is safe. Children can lick it, it's fine. But it has an odor in it that makes mosquitoes stay away. And Stain is busy teaching people, let me put it this way. Stain is busy keeping the mosquitoes away so they don't have to have as many children in the home because they will live now. And then teaching them how to feed the family from a little mashamba in front of their hut. When I talked to Chief Strawberry just a few days ago, he said, Dick, Pastor Dick, it is so much fun being God's hand. Lord Jesus, doesn't matter where we are. Christmas Island, Fiji, Tonga, Cooks, Oregon, Zambia, Russia. None of that's important. We're on your planet, in your garden. May we be the hands you use to touch all of those people we love so much. Amen. Amen. You like that story? I would love to bring Chief Strawberry with me. Oh my, that would be fun. I'll show you a picture of him tomorrow, okay? I don't have one. There's one right there.
I believe that you agree with me that we have all been touched by that story. But you know what I'm amazed about is the power of story. And I can see Dr. Lee Rice smile because his passion is about stories, sharing your stories. And as I was sitting there, I said to myself, I'm sure there are people here who have stories like Chief Strawberry. All what you need to do is to tell and to share that story. Thank you so much, Dr. Dick Duerksen. And I cannot find the right way to say this morning. Maybe the only thing that I can say is not vinakavalevo, but it seems to me that that the word that comes to my mind, and I'm not sure whether that is a Spanish word or a Tongan word or Fijian word, but mucho trabajo. I'm not sure whether that is that works, yeah. And I'll explain it to you later. Thank you so much. Thank you. Well, this time we'll take a break for 5 minutes. We'll come back at 20 past to have another session with Dr. Dick, and that is how to study the Bible. We want you to be, familiar with the Bible and to be Bible-oriented, okay? Your Bible is your main tool, and he will help us on how